Here's our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about the support that NCDP provides, talk about why you should build a documented campaign plan. And then when we get to the strategic overview section, it's going to get real nitty-gritty really quickly, where I will throw out prompts for you to think about to help flesh out what your strategy should be to win your race. We'll wrap up with next steps. And as I said, along the way, we will have hopefully some opportunity for Q&A. You can also type questions in the chat as we go along. Now, as we jump into information about how we can support you, I want to share the goals for this training tonight. So, we're the state Democratic Party. My goal is to help Democrats who are running for, I didn't change this, running for office in 2026. Last year, I was supporting municipal candidates. This year, we have people for the state house, state senate, congressional candidates. We have school boards, county commissioners, water and soil commission, sheriffs, district attorneys, judges. We have all kinds of seats up in 2026. We are here really to support Democrats running for those races. There are some cases where we have values aligned candidates who are registered as unaffiliated voters, but mostly you are Democrats. And this is also about helping to build the bench for long-term success so that we can all build a better North Carolina for all of us. So after my lengthy preamble, I'm very excited to share that we have our state party chair, Anderson Clayton, here with us to talk a little bit about why we are so happy you have stepped up and are taking on this challenge. So, Chair Clayton, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Christy, and hello to everybody on here tonight. I'm sorry to be coming to y'all from my car, but I really appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your evening when I know you've got a million other responsibilities in your own right to also be here with us to learn a little bit about how the state party wants to be able to help support you. As Christy said, my name is Anderson Clayton. I serve as the state party chair for the Democratic Party in North Carolina. I'm going to send my contact information out in the chat box as well, just so that you all have it. If there's anything that you ever need from me, I hope you feel free to text me, call me, and if I can't get to you, I will send it to one of the folks that are on this call, and they will also be the ones that help respond back to you. The North Carolina Democratic Party has never had the staff capacity that we do coming into an election like this, and we are really excited about phenomenal people like Sarah and Christy and I who are just here to help. And so before I really get going, though, also a shout out to Dennis Allen. I'm from Person County. I live in Person County. He's on here tonight. I'm very grateful for my sheriff candidates across the state that have stepped up, but a shout out to my home county in that sense as well. Thank you, Mr. Allen, for being on here. And I'm just excited to thank all of you for being on here tonight, because I think that it is an incredible opportunity what you're doing right now to represent your communities, regardless if you're running for state legislature, Congress, district attorney, or any of the other positions that Christy mentioned on the ballot. There are a lot of really good ways that I think that each one of you can culminate the information that you're going to get tonight to help impact your races in the future. But the main thing is that I'm grateful that each and every single one of you wanted to step up and say my community deserves better. I know a lot of you on here tonight are running in competitive or also gerrymandered state legislative districts. That oftentimes means that you're looking at a hard row ahead to hoe. And I know. And being from a rural part of North Carolina, I understand that a lot of y'all are taking on really hard uphill battles. And that's exactly what I believe this party is here to do. We're here to fight for people across the state, and we're here to do it even when it gets hard. And so thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for doing that work and for digging in and for giving a piece of yourselves. And also, I hope that you thank my campaign managers. If you are in one here tonight, thank you for the work that you're going to do. But if you're also a candidate, I hope the number one person that you do is thank the people, whether that be your campaign manager or a volunteer or a super volunteer who is helping out your campaign. The people who are making this happen for us are the most important. And I really appreciate y'all for doing it. So I'm going to get off a soapbox. I don't have much else to say other than I think it's going to be one hell of a 2026. And we are going to make sure that we get not only a U.S. Senator elected from North Carolina that's a Democrat, not only keep Justice Nina Earls on our Supreme Court, but also have incredible local wins that are going to build the bench for the Democratic Party across North Carolina and in all 100 counties in the state. Because we've got to be a party that fights for everybody everywhere. And that's what y'all are doing here. So thank you for it. Again, Christy, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but just I really, really appreciate each and every single one of y'all for being on here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Clayton. Appreciate you spending some time with us. Okay. So having run for office and been a campaign manager and worked in politics for a few years here, I am here to tell you, if you don't already know, this experience is going to be intense, it's going to be exhausting, and it's going to be really rewarding. I didn't win the race when I was a candidate, and I still would absolutely have done it again, not do it again in the future. But I'm glad that I did it. And so just be prepared that it's going to be a really exciting and intense time, and we are here to help. So, Nye, if you would share this resource, one of the first things I want to share here, and I will include this in the follow-up email. I would encourage you maybe to bookmark this, but we have set up a page that with this document that lists the resources that we can provide to candidates. So training resources like this, resources from our digital department, our data department, Sarah O'Brien and her organizing team, coalitions and community engagement, which is about making sure we're representing our communities with authenticity and we are everywhere where the community is. Nye from our party affairs department, which helps navigate the Democratic Party infrastructure. Uh, Campaign finance resources are largely going to come from the State Board of Elections. We also have a communications director and have resources to share with you on that. When it comes to data, one of the really important resources that we will share with you and that I encourage everyone to sign up for is Vote Builder. So if you are running in 2026 as a Democrat, we will give you access to Vote Builder. Now, this is the database of all voters in your district. So it has names and phone numbers and addresses. We will also share scripts for you on how to talk to voters, help you create lists of targeted voters so you can get a sense of who you should be talking to and how. Vote Builder is an incredibly powerful tool. It usually costs hundreds to thousands of dollars for candidates. I know running for a city council race, I had to pay 900 bucks to get this voter roll information, but the state party is offering this to candidates for free. So we will share the link. It will also be in the follow-up email tomorrow so that you could sign up for Vote Builder. Vote Builder is very powerful. I didn't have the absolute easiest time learning it. So it's maybe not as intuitive as any old app you would download on your phone. So we do have Vote Builder training. I don't have live trainings on the schedule yet, but they will be coming soon. In the meantime, I have recorded all of these previous Vote Builder trainings, and we will share the link to those on YouTube so you can do some self-paced training. Now, if there's anybody here who is a county party leader or a district leader, not a candidate, we will be supporting county parties and district leaders as well. So helping to train canvas captains, helping with volunteer recruitment, providing literature that you can use when you're canvassing. We will have ballot ready. If you are a candidate and that's jargon you're not familiar with, don't even worry about it. You don't need to know yet. But it is a resource so that voters can find information about candidates and polling locations and things like that. We also run a year-round voter protection program. We will have a voter protection hotline and information for candidates for post-election activities. Again, if you're a candidate, don't sweat that too much yet. More to come later. This is the training schedule that is planned for January. So we're in the strategy training now. There's a fundraising training this time next week and a training on field organizing on January 20th. Field organizing is your activities where you are talking directly to voters. You might have heard it called direct voter contact, but how do you know which voters to talk to? And what methods would you use? Knocking doors, phone banking, sending mailers, things like that. So that's what we will cover in that training. Now, for some of you, you probably have a primary in March before you start looking at November's election day. Others of you, you might not have a primary and you are thinking ahead to November already. There will be additional trainings for candidates that come after March that cover additional topics, digital and social media, communications, probably a couple more sessions on more specifics on fundraising and things like that. So, more to come if you are running in November, or for those of you once you win your March primary and start thinking about the general election. Another resource are the candidate office hours. So every Tuesday at noon, several staffers for the state party hang out in a Zoom room and wait for candidates to come ask us questions. We did our first one of 2026 today, and I think we had quite a few people there. This is your opportunity to have a little bit more of one-on-one-ish coaching. So I'm going to cover a lot of information today. If you are working on developing your strategy and think, gosh, I've got a super unique situation and I need help figuring out how to adapt this information to my race, office hours are a good opportunity for that. Sarah, anything interesting from today's office hours?
It was so well attended. Folks felt like it was worth their time because they did get that one-on-one sort of troubleshooting. A few questions about campaign finance and training, getting signed up for the registration or the treasurer's training. So we were able to help people, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys. Because if you don't come, we're going to sit there for an hour without you. So please come and make us work.
Yes. If no one comes, we are bored. So join us. We would love to help. Okay, I'm gonna actually keep moving here unless Sarah or Nye say there's some questions in the chat that we should talk about before I go into the next session. Okay, so the next topic is why you need a campaign plan. And I really want to encourage you, whether you have a primary or you're thinking about the November election, to get a documented strategic plan. So if you have a goal, like winning an election, and you don't have a plan, it's really just a wish. I mentioned that this is going to be exhilarating and exhausting and a hectic time. There's going to be a lot coming at you from a lot of different places. So I know if I don't have a plan and I'm not working my to-do list, and I am not organized, if I'm disorganized like this, personally, I have a hard time moving forward. So I really want to encourage you to go from having a lot of information on post-its and scraps of paper and in your head and really documenting a roadmap to victory. How are you going to get from all this information that you know or you don't yet know, get it onto paper? So this is really what we're focused on tonight. In addition to just building that out as a roadmap, there's some real benefits to documenting your strategy, documenting your plan. The first one is around credibility. So, for you as a candidate, when someone asks you what's your strategy, what's your plan, if you have something documented, I'm holding pieces of paper, which it's probably not paper anymore, it's probably electronic. But if you have something that you can share with a potential endorser or ally or campaign manager or someone who is close to you in this race, if you have a documented strategy or plan, you can articulate it, you can potentially share it. It does make you seem a bit more prepared and credible as a candidate. The next reason is around prioritizing. The work of running a campaign, of running for office, the work is infinite. Your time, however, is finite. There are only so many things to do. So we're going to share this link here. This is called the Eisenhower matrix. You might have seen something like this before. Basically, it's what is most urgent. Is it a high priority? what is not urgent and not a high priority, and how you can't determine what you are the only one who can do this task, what you can delegate, what you can just fit in when you have a chance, and what are the things that you just absolutely need to let go of. So, making sure you are diligently prioritizing because you only have so much time. Going back here to delegating. So when you have a documented strategy and plan, you've thought about your prioritization, this will make it easier and more effective for you to delegate. Whether you are running a state senate race and you're going to have a campaign manager and a consultant and an organizer and a robust team, you'll be delegating work to, or if you're running a little bit more of a shoestring campaign and maybe you're running for school board and your best friend is going to help out and your spouse or your family, being able to effectively delegate and enable other people to effectively accomplish tasks that you need done, that you don't have time for, is another benefit of having a good strategic plan. So this plan will help you manage those finite resources. Time and money are really going to be the big ones. It will help make sure you're connecting everything that you do to your goal and to improving your chances of winning. Some things are going to come up that you might feel pressure to do. And when you really think about it, will this help me get more votes? Will this help me win? The answer might be no. So having this documented plan might help you think through that. Strategic plan will also be flexible and be updated, particularly if you are running and you don't have a primary. And so your election day is November. This is January. Fantastic time for you to be working on your strategic plan. Circumstances might change over the course of the election. So this should be a living, breathing document that you reference regularly, that grounds you in your goals, and that you do update when significant changes in the circumstances warrant that. And this will help you hold you and your team, whether that's paid staff, whether it's volunteers, whether it's friends and family, help you focus on those goals. I had a boss share this expression with me that I like: plan your work, and then you can work your plan. Again, going back to how hectic campaigns can be, if you have documented what you plan on doing, then when things get super duper rapid fire and you're a little overwhelmed, you'll be able to look at your plan and know week by week, here's what I should be doing, and get yourself back on track. Some key questions in general to answer in this strategic plan. And I'll talk about some of the different sections that should be in the strategic plan. For each section, these are the questions. What work needs done? Who is going to do that work, you or someone else? When will the work need to be done? And how much will it cost? For costs, some of this is going to be pretty guesstimates, pretty good guesstimates or estimates to start off. And as you get closer, you can refine those numbers. But this will give you a good sense of how much money you need to raise so that you can spend it. Okay, those were some general points about your strategic plan and why it's important to have. In the next section, I'm going to start getting a lot more specific about questions you may want to answer for your plan. But I'm going to pause here. Sarah or Nye, is there anything in the chat that we should cover?
Just wanted to remind everyone that all of this information will be in an email tomorrow and also on the YouTube channel with our NCDP training library. So don't worry about taking copious notes or trying to get it all down. You can revisit it down the line.
Yes, thank you. Okay. We're going to jump from the highest level explanation of a strategic plan into some super specifics real fast. So, Nye or Sarah will share this link in the chat. I'll also include it in the follow-up email tomorrow. We have built a templated campaign plan that you may want to use as a starting point. This was built last year based on the series of about 12 different training sessions we had last year. So, if you click on that link, it will give you an option. You're going to want to save your own copy. It's got the information from the trainings in there, including all these starter questions so you can start to answer them. Um, Main sections of this campaign plan template include the strategic overview, which is our focus for today, talks about fundraising and budgeting. Fundraising is the money that comes in, budgeting is the money you spend. Communications, including social media, press relations. It includes field organizing, which I mentioned earlier, is talking directly to voters. And there is information about get out the vote. You may have also heard it called GOTV. That is the final period in a campaign when people can actually cast their ballot, and this is the most intense period of a campaign. So those are the general sections, and we will focus today on the strategic overview. So let's jump in. You're going to want to include some key context and facts about the race you're running. So about your district. Is it is it at the state level, right? If you're running for state house or state senate, it might cross multiple counties, multiple cities. If you're running for a county commissioner, what's the information about your county? This is going to be demographics and things like that. It will also include information about the race and about the candidates running. I'll talk more about those in a moment. And then you will be describing your overall approach to this race, high-level strategy, and your win number. And I'm going to come back to that jargon term, win number. Information about your district that you're going to want to include. First would be demographics. And I would encourage you to look into the demographics of residents and voters, voters being a subset of the residents. So, how many people live there? What is the party affiliation of registered voters, Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated, or other? Things like age ranges, race, gender, religion, professions, education level, homeowners versus renters, people who take public transit versus own cars, whatever of those demographic details are most relevant in your district. Make sure you're doing some research into that to get that information. Things like Wikipedia can be helpful. If you have if you're running a race that crosses multiple counties or is just a subset of a county or city, it might be a little bit more challenging, but I encourage you to do work into this information for your district. And think also about key population centers or neighborhoods in the district that you're running for. Let's also look at the history of previous elections for the seat that you're running for. So, in terms of percentages and numbers, pure numbers of registered voters who voted in similar elections. So, if you're running in 2026 for, say, state house or state senate race, look to see in 2024, 22, 2020, how many people voted. How is it trending? Are more people voting or fewer people voting? What percentage of registered voters voted in each of those elections? Using that information and seeing those trends can help inform you in the assumptions you make about how many people you think are going to vote in 2026. So, for example, in general, in a presidential year, more people vote. So the 2024 numbers probably going to be higher than they are in 2026. Also in 2020, that election was full on COVID. So those numbers might be weird. Um, Look at the history of those previous elections. Look also to see who is running in your race. If you don't know right now who you're running against, whether you have a primary or your eyes are on the general election in November, look that up now. We'll share a link on how you can find that on the State Board of Elections website. So, do you have a primary? That might influence your strategy. If you have a primary, it's going to be a Democrat on Democrat race, right? So, I'm not here to say that Democrats should never challenge other Democrats. Think about how that's going to impact your strategy. How many candidates are there? Is it you and one other Democrat in the primary? Is it you as the Democrat and one Republican in the general? Is it a primary? And there are four Democrats running. So all of that is information you want to have. Then when you know who is running, what do you know about them? Who are they? Have they run before? Here we go. Look at past elections. So again, looking at 24, 22, and 20, how many people ran in those elections? Who were they? What was their party affiliation? How much did they win by? How many votes? What percentage of the vote did they get? This will give you a sense of how competitive your race is going to be. And we're sharing the link here as well so that you can find that information on the State Board of Elections website. About the candidates. This is about you and your opponents. You might hear the expression, or you might be asked if you are a viable candidate. I'm not a big fan of that phrasing, but people will ask if you're a viable candidate. Viable means, like, do we think you have any chance of winning? Do we think you're going to run a competitive race? If you have opponents, sometimes somebody will register to run for an office and they're not really going to actively campaign. And they put their name on the ballot in each election for the past 5 elections, and they've never had more than 1% of the vote. Probably not a viable candidate, not a serious candidate, and maybe not someone you need to spend a lot of time and attention on. But if you have a primary opponent, for example, and they won the primary last time, what was the percentage? What was the number? So you will be asked to kind of validate yourself as a candidate. How serious are you about running? So have any of the other people who are running, have they run before? How did they perform? If you don't have a primary and you're thinking about November, the person you're running against, are they an incumbent? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Who supports them? Who opposes them? Do a little bit of that power analysis. Think about who is in their corner and who is not. Also, for your high level strategy here, what core values are going to anchor your campaign? Part of this here is my bias. I think that candidates do best when they are authentic, when you are speaking from your values and not just trying to appeal to, in some general sense, to as many people as possible. I think voters can tell when someone is authentic, when they're saying things that they believe in, as opposed to acting like a politician and just saying anything to get your vote. That's my personal bias. So spend a little time thinking about what core values are going to anchor your campaign. How does the candidate demonstrate these values, whether you're the candidate or you're a campaign manager? And how do those values relate back to the experiences of the voters in your district? How is your campaign going to connect with and build trust with voters? And then how are you going to use your resources to achieve your goals? Finally, here, how are you going to differentiate yourself from your opponent or opponents? These are questions that you might put one answer today, and as you spend some time campaigning, your answer might get more sophisticated as you get a better sense of who you are as a candidate. Now, I want to talk about vote goal. You might have also heard this called a win number. People might ask you, what is your win number? And there is a recording of a training to help you with this. It can be a little tricky, to be honest. So it's also something that we might be able to help you with if you want to come to office hours. Basically, if you are in a head-to-head race, you versus one other person, your win number is 50% of the people who vote plus one vote. If you win by one vote, that's a victory. But you have to make quite a few assumptions when you calculate your win number. This is based on the first variable here, and I've got a little bit of a formula on the screen. It's also in the campaign template. How many people are registered to vote in your district? What percentage of them do you think are likely to actually turn out in your election? It's one of the reasons you look at the history of the last several races. And then that will help you get to your win number. And you might want to pad that a little bit. Instead of 50 plus one as a goal, maybe you set 52 plus one as your goal. So that information is also in the campaign plan template. This is also potentially called your path to victory. This will help you figure out how many votes you think you need to get to win. And then how many people do you think are in your base of support? Particularly if you're looking at November. If you say, I think it's going to take 10,000 votes to win, and there are 5,000 registered Democrats who vote every single election that I can count on to vote for me against my Republican opponent, now you've got a vote gap of 5,000 people. So where are you going to get those people? Where are you going to get those votes? Are you going to focus your time and energy on getting Democrats who don't normally vote, get them to turn out? Are you going to focus your energy on getting unaffiliated or light Republicans persuaded that you are the right person for that seat? It's probably going to be both of those activities, but how do you mix and balance that work? How many people then do you need to contact, persuade, and turn out to achieve your vote goal? I think Sarah dropped this link in the chat here, but this is the recording on calculating your vote goal. It is most straightforward if you're talking about a head-to-head race, a Democrat versus a Republican, for example. That's going to be fairly straightforward calculation. If you have a primary and there are four people running, it's going to be more, you'll have to make some more assumptions to calculate that win number. But don't be surprised as you're campaigning if party insiders, community, political leaders are asking you if you know what your win number is. So it's a good idea to calculate it as a starting point. You also want to think about your calendar. So working backwards from election day, what will you be doing week by week or month by month? So first, drop in key deadlines there that are unmovable. End of quarter fundraising, end of month fundraising, and key reporting deadlines. Excuse me. So the State Board of Elections requires you to report how much you have raised and spent at certain points. So make sure you have those dates, or your treasurer has those dates. Are there deadlines for endorsements? Organizations may have casual endorsement processes. They may have very structured and robust endorsement processes, thinking about labor unions. If there's a primary, does your county party have an endorsement process? Make sure you're getting those dates and putting them on your calendar. Other key dates are things like holidays, community events. What are your campaign events? What fundraisers are you going to be holding? In general, we think of a campaign and the phases in these groupings here. So first comes capacity building. So this is about building your plan, raising money so you have it to spend later, getting your team together, whether that is, I haven't done a training in like 6 weeks and I'm losing my voice. Sorry. Building your team, hiring people, volunteers, whoever is on your team. That happens in capacity building. I'm going to ask Sarah to talk about the other three phases.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. All right. So capacity building is the beginning of your campaign, as Christy said. Then you're going to move into a persuasion phase. And this is where you're starting to talk to the voters who might be voters for you, might not be, might not vote at all. And so you're going to talk to them, introduce yourself, assess their level of support for your campaign. And then, you're going to use your vote builder committee to make sure you keep good records of who you talk to and what they tell you at that point. The third phase of the campaign is your GOTV phase. GOTV is get out the vote. It used to be just those last 4 days before election day, but with early voting, we really kind of start considering it as far out as the start of early voting and even a couple weeks before that, right? And so that's when you're going to be going back to the people who have told you during your persuasion phase that they're voters for you. And you're going to go remind them about when and where to vote. You're going to make sure that they bring a couple of friends with them. That's really when you consolidate your vote and make sure you get your voters to the polls. And then those final 4 days, that's that Saturday, the last day of early voting, Sunday, Monday, and of course, election day. And that's where you're going to hustle. You'll have the information about who voted during early voting, so you know which of your supporters haven't gotten to the polls yet. And you're going to be on the phones, you're going to be knocking their doors. You may be lip dropping to remind every single person that hasn't voted by election day that today's the day you have to go vote. And that's going to be sort of a high energy, high intensity, part of the campaign. Chrissy, did I miss anything that you wanted to make sure to cover on this slide?
No, thank you. This is why I have support. I know Sarah loves being put on the spot. Okay. We're getting to the home stretch and then we'll have time for questions. When you think about your team, I mentioned a little bit that you need help. You can't do all this by yourself. So, a couple of things to think about. Some campaigns have a kitchen cabinet, and this is a group of people who are very close to your campaign and help advise you. This is probably, if you have a campaign manager, going to include them. Maybe your county party chair recruited you to run, and you're going to ask them to serve on your kitchen cabinet. People who are experienced with campaigns and can provide guidance and advice, introductions, connections, chip in. That's who your kitchen cabinet might be. I mentioned your county party, campaign manager, campaign consultant, and you will need a treasurer. So next week, we'll talk about that more when I do the fundraising training. But that's an important part of your team as well. And then think about building your coalition. The earlier, the better. Are there current elected officials that you want their endorsement? Sarah?
Yeah, so you're going to try to figure out who in the community you need to be reaching out to. It could be, like Christy said, elected officials who maybe asked you to run, and so you're going to ask them to, in turn, connect you with some of the folks that have helped them before. And you're going to look beyond elected officials to the other civic leaders in your community. They could be faith leaders, they could be leaders of nonprofit organizations, they could be leaders in the education community. So you're going to try to look around. You're going to maybe spend a day sort of building out your list of folks that you want to reach out to, and that's a great thing to do early in the campaign, just to consolidate your support and get those early introductions. And then, oh yeah, Christy, you ready to take it back?
Maybe. I'm so sorry, y'all. The point here, thinking about supporters versus detractors versus neutral. When you're building your coalition, and this isn't so much about voters, but influencers in your community, who can you count on to support you? Who is going to actively work against you? Who might be inclined to work against you? And you're going to ask them to stay neutral. So those are some things you might ask people in the community. Okay, let's take some questions. That was the bulk of the information on building the campaign strategy. If you've had a chance to peek at the campaign plan template, you would have seen those same questions in this templated form to help guide you through it, along with resources to find, particularly the historical information. Got a couple slides on next steps, but I want to pause here and see what questions we have. This is a good time if you want to raise your Zoom hand or type in the chat.
A few folks chimed in with other leaders of our democratic ecosystem that we can count on for help. District parties, so we have congressional districts, which kind of group together a lot of county parties in most cases. So we have district committees that can help, as well as precinct chairs are important. So we've got above and below the precinct or the county level. There was a question earlier in the chat that I'm not sure if you saw, Christy. Somebody was asking about how to differentiate your messaging from national politics. How do you run as a North Carolina Democrat, and sort of define what that means relative to the federal candidates?
Yeah. First, I'll say I saw the note about precinct leaders and district leaders. And I was like, ooh, I need to add that to the slide. So thank you. Those are really good flags. I would say as a state party, we are also thinking about how to differentiate ourselves from the national party, which is not very popular. I would go back to, in part, the advice to be authentic. I think also the more you as the candidate can be in front of voters so they're hearing from you directly, that will be helpful. And I would say that while the Democratic Party reputation nationally is not great, and I am personally irritated and annoyed with several of our national leaders, the the wind is at our back this year in this election. Donald Trump is wildly unpopular. The Republican policy positions are wildly unpopular. This is why they have to cheat and steal. But it should mean that voters are very frustrated with Republicans and are more likely to vote for Democrats. This is a pretty standard cycle after a party changes in the presidential year. The 2 years later, in the midterms, it is more favorable to the opposition party. I don't have all the answers on how to differentiate yourself super effectively from the national party. It's something we talk about as staff all the time. Sarah or Nye, or are there a couple other staff members here? If you have like specific thoughts, there is some guidance in um, the resource we suggested to bookmark, ncdp.org/resources. There is a communications guide from our communications director, which might have some helpful information. But Sarah, Nye, anything else to add? I didn't give any specifics.
Actually, Christy, I was going to echo the last thing that you said. We have press releases and a content package that tie in what's happening nationally to how it's affecting us locally. We also highlight a lot of the state issues that we know our voters care more deeply about, to kind of like clear through all the noise. So I really recommend signing up for both the content package and the press releases. The press releases kind of come once or twice a day, depending on what's happening, and the content package is weekly. So that's a consistent batch of information you can post on your own socials, or you can take inspiration from when talking to constituents.
Thank you so much, Nye, for flagging the content package. I don't think I have it in here. I'll try to remember to add it to the email. But if you or Sarah have the link that you can drop in the chat, content package is a great resource. So kind of we're singing from the same song sheet, and we will provide talking points and graphics that you can use in your own communication. So that is a fantastic resource. Thank you, Nye. I did see a question in the chat from Juanetta. Should you invest in a reputation management firm in case of negative campaigns? This might be a good question to come ask in candidate office hours if you can, because I would want to know more about your campaign. If you're running for school board, it's probably not going to be in the budget. If you're running for a state house or state senate race and it's going to be really competitive, maybe that's something that you consider. So that might be a good one to come talk about in office hours. And then Marilyn, I saw your hand.
I think I'm unmuted now. Um, I taught strategic analysis at UNCG for 8 years, and one of the things that is so important for us to remember is that people who are running for office are running to be public servants, and it's so very important for us to understand to be that public servant, to be that servant leader, that we understand what are the voices of our local people, what are their concerns, and what are their issues. In working on my strategic analysis for the rural caucus, I'm seeing that some counties need affordable childcare. Almost all of the counties need affordable housing. Everybody wants to support affordable health care. But it's important for us to go out there, depending on which office that we're running for, to know what are the issues of concern for our local constituents. And I think that's an important way that we can differentiate ourselves from the national party, is by trying to keep things uh, as local as we can. If we want to invest in clean energy, for example, then we want to talk about saving and protecting our local resources and how that will benefit our local voters by lowering energy cost and lowering pollution. And so I think if we can maintain that local focus, that can
Yep.
separate us from some of the negative baggage that the national party has.
Yeah, I think that that's a good flag, and I think that being specific like that, if that so we talk a bit about this in the training I did last year on communications strategy for candidates and telling your personal story. So those are recorded on the YouTube channel. If anybody is interested in digging more into that between now and March, that would be a good place to get that information. Ebony, I see your hand next.
You mentioned that after early voting, we would know who has voted and we'll be able to go and reach out to. Where do we get that information? How would we
Vote
find?
Builder.
Oh, so
So
we just go
that,
to.
yeah, that
Oh,
Vote Builder database, we'll start getting data from the State Board of Elections every day or in the final four, maybe a couple times a day, and it will say who has already voted. So yet another reason that Vote Builder is a very powerful tool.
okay, so it's like a live.
Hmm.
Yep, it'll update every morning, and then closer in, we'll review this again, but there'll be a way that you can check a box to make sure you don't go contact people who've already voted. So you save yourself the effort of reaching people that have already gone to vote. And then you'll be able to see who hasn't voted yet each day.
Yep. Okay. Let me go now to wrap up here in the next steps. Now your hand's up, but I think that that was from previously. Uh,
Sorry.
okay, got it. Thank you. So this time next week, fundraising training. The week after is field organizing. If you aren't yet signed up, please sign up. Next steps here, signing up for the next training, requesting Vote Builder, starting the campaign plan. We also have a candidate Discord group. So Discord is kind of pseudo like Slack. It's a messaging platform where you can build community. We will drop the link for Discord. When you join Discord, drop a comment in the main group and I will add you to the candidate specific subgroup. It's a way that you can network with other candidates and start building a community. I keep an eye on it and respond pretty quickly when stuff is posted in there. So another way to reach us aside from office hours. Yeah, campaign managers, join Discord. Discord. That's great. I mentioned the candidate office hours every Tuesday at 12. Please join us, especially I think there have been a couple questions in the chat where I was like, that's a good one to ask in office hours because of the level of specificity or your unique circumstances. So we can really help you drill down. If you spend the next week working on answering some of those questions in the campaign plan document, and you get stumped on something, come to office hours and we'll be happy to help you further. Okay, with that, I'm going to stop the recording